Hello friends, in this video we will see how to handle exception in JavaScript. Just like other OOPS language, here also we use try catch finally to handle the exception. Actually, to handle exception, try and catch is enough. The finally is for a different purpose, but that has a close relation with exception handling. So we will study about finally also. So let's say we have a piece of code and we will consider that we will get the exception here, or we will say that error will be raised here in this statement. So what happens in normal situation when error is found, we will see remaining portion of script won't get executed. So to handle this error, we have to enclose this statement within a try and catch block. So the try is accompanied by the catch block. Then we will have an object for handling the error. So here we can actually handle our exception. So you can use that error object to get more information about the error message. So also you have to know that when an exception is raised here, so the code flow goes like this. So it executes this statement, then the runtime, the browser will execute this statement. When it is executing this, we will get exception. So the code flow moves directly to the catch block. There we will handle the exception. So that means when an exception is raised, this particular statement, which is after that error statement, this will not get executed. So the particular statement will get skipped. All right. So people usually have the habit of like creating the handle, opening the database connection, other stuff in the top. Then they will close everything towards the end. So when an exception is raised, this cleanup activity, so that will not get called. So that's why we have a block called finally. So you can place all your cleanup task here, so that the cleanup will happen always. So that means this catch block will executed always. Let's say that let's consider this particular block as 1, the catch block as 2, and the finally block as 3. In case of a normal flow, so all 3 statements will get executed. So then we will not come to catch block at all, but the finally block will get called. So in case of a exception flow, so the code segment 1, that means the try block will execute it, but it is half executed. So we are skipping some statement here, right? So let's say that we will put it like this. It's executed, and then we won't go to catch so it's an exception, right? So we will go to catch block and we will execute all the statement there. Then we will come to finally black also, and all statement in there will get executed. So if you see whether we get exception or not, the finally black will get executed. That means it's a perfect place to release memory or do all the cleanup activity. So cleanup activity you can perform here in the finally black. All right, now we will see an example. It's a demo time. So here is the example. We have input type text. So only one field here we can provide a number. Then we have a 3 button, and so the buttons are, one is we are naming it as no exception. Then in the second button we are using a try catch. Then in the third button click we use try catch finally. So we call 3 different function, and just to experiment how try catch works. So here we have 2 h3 field. One is say thanks and another one is report error. All right, now first let us go through the no exception function. In the no exception, if you see, we have a variable and we assign that text element to that variable. So here is the text element, a number. So document.get element by id, a number value, so that will get assigned to a variable. And if you see here, we are using the wrong variable name. So the number, this is the declared variable. Here we want to increment that number, but we intentionally kept t as a capital letter. So this variable is undefined. That means the JavaScript engine will execute this statement. When it tries to execute this, it knows that this variable is undefined, and adding one to it not meaningful. So it raises the exception. I mean here, so no exception is called, right? So it raises an exception. Then we intentionally kept one more statement after this exception. I mean after this faulty statement. Here we are accessing the element. So this h3 element, say thanks element. Then we are just updating it with a different text, one dot thank you. All right, so now when we execute this, we won't see anything, and the exception will be raised at statement 2 here, and there is no handler for it. So first we will execute the button click of no exception handler. So first let us execute this in IE. And I'm clicking no exception. And if you see, nothing happens here. So how do we know that there is actually some exception? So what we can do, let me refresh it. Open F12 console. So I'm pressing the F12 key here in IE. So this opens up the console window. So previously we saw how to debug in some other video. Now we'll go to console. Here let me click the no exception, and you can see that it throws the exception. So the exception says that the number is undefined, and it also says at which line number. So if I click, it shows that line number. Here is where the exception is raised. All right, now we will execute the same in Chrome. Let me press F12 and open the console window here also. This is the console window. Now if I click no exception, so for example, if this window is not opened, you can open it from here, this exception message itself. So in the console now it is showing the exception. So it shows the call stack also. First it says that HTML input element on click that called our JavaScript. So let me click here. If you say, it tells which input button we clicked. I mean in the HTML we clicked that button that triggered the function call no exception. Then in the call stack above, if you click here, it states that you are inside the no exception, and this statement is actually causing the exception. So now let us see the other part of the example. I'm closing the debug window. I mean developer tools window. So in the second part, we have one more button, and that button states try catch. So here we just modify this above function, same statement, but we enclose that within the try block. So when there is a try block, then there will be accompanying a catch block. So we opened and closed this catch block here. So when exception occurred previously in this function, the execution abruptly stopped here. But here what happens when exception is raised, the execution won't stop, but it moves the flow of control to the catch block. So inside the catch block, if you see, this is the error object. So you can name it whatever you want. You can even place a ERR or whatever you want. So, but that object will contain the information related to that exception. So here I am using error.message, and I'm updating that to the report error element, H3 element. So now we will execute this. So the JavaScript execution won't stop abruptly here. That means the flow will go here. It reads the first statement. I mean, we are here, right? It executes this statement. It tries to execute the second statement, and exception is thrown. Since we have a catch block, the flow won't stop. So it reports the error, and this ID H3 ID report error is there, right? That's what here we are accessing, and we update that with the error message. Then say thanks is there, right? For that we are updating it with 2.thank you. Alright, so here the point is, after this try block, the execution won't stop abruptly. It enters the catch block, then it executes remaining statement inside that function. Only this statement gets skipped. So you have to understand, when there is a try block, the exception is raised here, and this statement get skipped, but the flow moves to catch block. So after handling the error situation in the catch block, the remaining statement in the function will get executed. The statement within the try block will get skipped after that exception, but the statement remaining in the try catch, that will get executed. Why? Because catch block appears before this particular statement, and that means exception or error situation was handled here, so we can execute remaining statement. Alright, now we will run this in IE. When I click try catch, you can see that 2.thank you get printed. That means the sequence is here. We got the number, then here is the error situation. the statement is skipped. You are not seeing one thank you, but you are seeing two dot thank you, and you can see two dot thank you, and the error is reported here. The number is undefined, so the order is different because that's the id element. Here we are not doing console.print. Here we are taking the HTML element and then we are populating that with inner HTML. So you may think that first we gone into the catch block, but the order is shifted here because these are all position defined, and we access these HTML element and we update it through our JavaScript document object model. So here we use document and we access the element, then we update the element. All right. Now we will go to the third portion. Here in the third portion, we just have finally block and make sure that this block will always get called. So what we can do, we can make this as a correct statement. So now exception won't get called. The flow will be this block. I mean, let me go here. So this is our third function call, right? With try catch finally. So that's what we are hooking with the third button. This is what we are going to experiment now. So now I made this as a valid statement. Let me save all and we will run. So what you will see, since this is valid, you will see that the statement get executed. One thank you. Since we are appending the h3 with a plus equal to operator, you will see both the content. One, and then error message you won't see. Then in the say thanks, you will see that cleanup activity. So both the message you will see. That means this will make sure that finally block got executed. And you can see thank you and cleanup activity both get called. So if you want to debug and see, let me keep a breakpoint here so that you can see the control flow and how it occurs. So here the statement is right, there is no violation here. So we'll go to thank you and that thank you will get printed. After that, if you see, we are reaching to the finally block and we will execute that as well. Now let's experiment the error situation. For that we will go here and make it a faulty code, then we will execute it. This time we will use a Chrome. So I'm pressing F12 button, then placing the breakpoint here at this function. So unlike IE, Chrome will dynamically display the content here, so you can watch here what it is printing. So now we will get an exception and the flow moves to catch block. So here we got the error. So number, somehow it took that become a valid variable. Maybe it is coming from the global scope. We don't know why that doesn't throw exception, but here the number is undefined. So since that raised the exception, we ended up in the catch block, and you can see the error message is automatically printed here. Then it prints the finally block also. I'm pressing F12 to close it. So now if you see, this finally black is for do all cleanup activity. Why? Because whether exception is raised here or not, it will always get called. So when exception is thrown, we will end up into the catch block, and there you can handle the exception. You can use the error object to get more insight into that error message. So whatever is after the error statement, that will get skipped when we are handling the exception. So that's all you have to know about this try catch finally. That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.